In this video, we're going to look at how to learn anything in 48 hours. Let's go. Hi, it's Tansel here. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel as we've just smashed through 1,000 subscribers. So thanks everyone for doing that. And what we're going to look at today is something that I've written about, right? How to learn anything in 48 hours. So the first step in this book is to gather all the resources and materials on things that you want to learn about. So for example, if you want to learn about a particular language, right? Let's say French. Well, what do you need in order to learn the language? Do you need to get textbooks? Do you need to get audiobooks? Do you need to look at online courses? What is it that you need to gather in order to learn that particular task? Maybe it's to ride a bike. You might need to get a bike. If it's about computers, you might need to get a computer to code, or you might need some books, or you might need other materials to assist your learnings. And number two is, once you've got all your materials, you have to now look through and say, okay, what is it that I actually want to learn? This is where it's important to understand what you're really trying to get into. So for example, if it's to learn a language, yeah, you're going to learn a language, but what do you really want to do? Do you want to speak the language? Do you want to write in that language? Do you want to learn everything? You need to be able to understand specifically what you want to get out of it, and then you can start to organize your materials accordingly. Which leads on to step number three, which is organize and prioritize your information that you've got in front of you, the materials. And what that means is that you could start to mind map, or you could start to arrange the lesson so that your mind understands how to approach it. Because if you just have a whole bunch of materials in front of you and just go at it, guess what's going to happen? Your brain's going to be overwhelmed, and there is no strategy. So you need to strategize by saying, okay, if I'm going to learn a language, I'm going to learn this many phrases here, I'm going to learn the nouns and verbs here, I'm going to speak the language here. So prioritizing materials is key, because that just means that once information's organized, it's easier to learn from, rather than a whole big mess of information. Step number four is create accountability. When you're trying to learn something, it's great to get others involved. What you're trying to do is you're trying to create the accountability. And what this means is that you'll feel bad when you're not doing stuff, or when you're delaying. When we're usually accountable to ourselves, we're generally lenient and say, oh no, well, maybe I'll do it tomorrow or next week, and nothing happens. So if we're accountable to other people, we'll generally get the task done. So accountability is a big one. Step number five, and this is where the action comes in, is to memorize and visualize all your learning. So if you've got all your phrases ready, it's to go through and start memorizing them using the memory techniques. Of course, you don't want to just go through and repeat something. If you're learning a particular task, using visualization to understand how that works. Visualization helps you to understand. Memorization stores it into the brain. So you can use a combination of these to get into the thick of it and start learning. And once you've done all your visualization and memorizations, it's important that this information sticks into your head. So you need to go and do some sort of a review. Now, if this information is for long term, what you'll need to do is you need to go and do a review, say 2 hours later. Right? Go through all your stories, associations, whatever you've done, all your mind maps, all your written notes, and then go back a day later. So 24 hours later, a week later, 2 weeks later, 4 weeks later, and so on. So this is called spaced repetition. The more you do this throughout time, the stronger the retention gets as well. So this is very important. And finally, practice your skill and apply it. So if you've learned French phrases, go and speak to someone in that language. Go into the thick of it and understand how it all works. You don't want to just learn information and just leave it in there. You want to practice these skills. Learning, memorizing, practicing, and then once you're practicing, you can start to adjust and see, okay, this is working, that's not working. And once you've adjusted these skills, that's when you can really start to learn, because learning doesn't happen if you've just got everything correctly. Learning happens when you've made a little mistake, you've tweaked it, and you've gone better this time around. Give yourself some time to be able to do that. So all up, all these processes, you'll be able to do in around 48 hours, give or take. Sometimes even way lower than that. Again, depends on what you're learning. So if you're learning guitar, well, it's going to take you a fair bit of time to get the muscle memory in your fingers. But what you can do is you can gather resources. Well, you need a guitar, right? You might need an instructor, or you might want to learn from YouTube, things like that. And in order to get into that memorization phase, it could just be that you memorize certain notes or a chord or a phrase, something like that. And obviously the practicing and the repetition helps you to get there as well. Give that a crack. If you've got any other questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll be doing a giveaway of my book, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe. The people subscribing will be able to get a copy of this book. Not all subscribers, the giveaway will do that. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.